Hello everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm very excited to go over our new small block Ford. This is an NA version that we're doing. Like we said, you've seen other versions that we do. We have, using this casting, we have 5 other heads that we make, but this is our new 8-degree canted valve, canted by 4-degree small block Ford. Honestly, I think that this is nicer than our Billet small block Ford as far as for making power. Nice part about that, it's about $4,000 less to do. And you get the advantage of making more power, you get more water. So the big advantage of the more water, I mean, even though we put a lot of water in our billet heads, you can never get as much as in a cast head. So better for keeping the spark plug cool, things of that nature, enhancing performance, okay? So let's just look at this. So this is how we start off. This is what you call a basic cubed casting, okay? So we machine seat bores, spring pockets, spark plugs, chambers, the rocker gear. We'll even change the pad height on the rocker gear. That changes. There's really nothing on here that we don't pretty much machine, okay? And then we also offer a lightning program on this, and it's 7 pounds per head, so 14 pounds off the nose of the car. Some guys that's really important. You know, we know that some of the guys it's not, but there's certainly the NA guys, I would say probably 95% of them it's important. It doesn't break the bank to lighten them, and they are eye candy. So let's just show the lightning since we're on it right now. You can see all this gets machined out in here. These big pockets we machined out of there. Like I said, 7 pounds is a lot of aluminum, people. I can't begin to tell you how much aluminum that is. That's a pile to go on this whole bench. And then we have this side here. You can see we machine all this also. And we do valley trace for it and everything like this. And then here's the top of the head. All the lightning that goes on in here. And my favorite part is this. When we flip it up, and this has the press-in hat washers that we do. And those are special. Those are a different material, and they are heat treated different. You can't gall it. There's impossible to do. Same ones, same material, same hat washers we put in the top fuel heads. And then we have this side right here, so it looks like a billet cylinder head. And Joey did just a great job when he was doing all the CAD and CAM on this. You can see all the lines go in the same direction. Yeah, I'm really proud of this piece. This is going to make, this will be the closest thing you can do to making 3 horsepower per cubic inch in a Ford. I feel like I can guarantee that. This thing is going to rip. The porting is, it's a fast port. It's not too big. So it will have signal to the booster if you're running a carburetor. If you're running EFI, it'll just be efficient, okay? It has a 2-310 intake valve and inch 590 exhaust. Of course, then we have our own proprietary angles that we use on that to make sure the flow numbers are correct. Those angles are real important, so we've done a ton of testing on that sometimes it hurts the mid-lift, sometimes it helps the high, so we're always going back and forth to figure out what we need there. And then we can do these valves in hollow stems. So if you're going to run 10,000 RPM or 11, we suggest using a 5/16 hollow stem. I think with the 7mm stub, the 2-310 valve, the head is just too much. And with the 7mm stem, you go from 310 and 5/16 to 275, 275 thousandths. I think there's just too much flex on the head of the valve, personally. I think it's hard in the valve job. So we have here, and then the eye candy part. I'll flip this over for you. So what's nice about the 8-degree, like right now this head is at 35 cc's with a 5-degree soft chamber. Okay, so what's nice about this, you know, if anybody's going to race comp eliminator or anything like that, we can do in your smaller cubic inch, we would just do a different intake and exhaust port for it. But we can get this down to 26 cc's, the combustion chamber. Like, it can be very, very small where those small cubic inch engines can't get compression. But this is for a 400 cubic inch. They wanted it at 35 cc's. And it's just a beauty, right? Our A25 copper beryllium material, not the brass, not the cheap stuff, because we don't even offer it. But then the rocker gear. This has a Jessel system in it. We offer it with aluminum rockers. We are not a proponent of a lightened rocker. We've learned, being around the Spintron for 20, 25 years, 27 years, that weight is not important, and that's why you'll see a lot of professional teams run steel, especially if they can afford it, because there is no advantage valve train wise as far as the Spintron keeping things where they're not breaking to go into the aluminum. But that's a Jessel rocker. Look at that. Is that a piece of art or what? Oh my gosh, sweet. And then, of course, all the fasteners holding the rocker bar on. I mean, all the MBE stuff. Big push rods. All this will fit easily in it. We got a billet intake manifold for it for a Dominator. We do a dirt version of this, so much smaller ports, things like that, and a 10-degree valve angle. So we offer a 4150 for this also. But this is the Dominator style right here. What's nice about this, we're learning that our billet intakes, the way we're designing them, and all of us do this together in the shop, they're making the same as a sheet metal of 2 carbs. So, I mean, we're up to 6 engine builders that have proofed that out for us, 6 that I trust too that the information is correct. Okay, and then let's put the manifold on there right now, Jimmy. But you can see, plus they don't weigh anything. This one right here is either 12 or 13 pounds. So they're typically at least half the weight of the cast ones, and sometimes less than half. But the advantage of it is the power, and the way we design the plenum area and everything. It's not just a huge plenum. Oh, sorry, Biggs. Get out of your way there. But these make power. And the cool part is that when we flow this, we flow these on the cylinder heads when we're developing them. When we flow them, it's typically very difficult to get the end runners to catch up to the centers. But what's nice about this, when you go with this, we are very close to the centers. We're probably within, well, we are within about 4 CFM to the center. So we spent a lot of time on this. But we have a few of us here that did a lot of manifold development for the Cup teams, so they paid for us to get smart, and we did development for all the major teams just about. I think everyone but 2. But we learned so much from that 25 years ago, and now we're able to adapt it here, all of our ideas, because we actually generate that whole thing in the computer. We don't start with the casting and then we start with that. That is a model that we build. And I'm sure we have some videos of that, of how we go about that. But this is a piece, and then let's go to the flow numbers. Everybody wants to know the flow numbers. And I will say one thing about flow numbers. Flow numbers are important. 2 different ways they're important. They're important if the people don't lie. I'd say 90% of the industry, they lie about their porting numbers, and lie as much as 10%, like 30, 40 CFM. So we don't lie, we don't embellish, we guarantee the flow numbers. And the other thing, the flow number is important. If the porting is done correctly, especially on the intake side, the flow number does matter. You remember, if the porting is done correctly, the only thing that the flow bench measures is pressure drops. So if we can create a larger pressure drop, that means more air is going into the cylinder, the explosion's larger, you make more horsepower. Okay? These are oval ports. They're not huge at all. This is a very fast port, and it's not just a big hole by any means. It's 140 CFM per square inch. That is a very, very high number. That's getting some right here. And then let's look at flow numbers. These are not embellished. So everything's good here. 400, 316, and then boom, look at that jump. 387. 600, 438. This is on a 1020 bench, not a 600. A 600 will typically flow 15 to 20 more CFM than a 1020. Typically, not all, but typically. 600, 438. Most Ford small block Fords don't even go 438. And we go 469, 484, 493, 501 at 1 inch, and it goes 510 at 1/100. But hey, some guys are running inch 040, inch 050 on the NA stuff. And the exhaust, even with the inch 590 valve, it goes over 300. If you went to 1 inch, it's 292. But on the exhaust side, shape is certainly more important than the bench. You got to be careful with that. And I think the shape on this, because of the casting we can work within, we can make just an excellent shape on the intake and exhaust port. These are real numbers. I think you've seen in a lot of our other videos, I'll say like our billet head flows 495, 497, 496. I never said 500 because it didn't make it. This makes it. So this is the real deal. Our new billet small block Chevy does go 500. So they're very similar to these numbers. A lot of what went into this, came from the billet head, and we've been able to really improve on it with this. I suggest people to order the cast version if you're running normally aspirated over the billet. I think you get much more bang for the buck, and But that's it. That's our MBE 8 degree by 4 degree small block Ford. Like I said, I think you can make 3 horsepower per cubic inch with this, or closer than any other head will. Okay, thank you everybody.